What's going on, y'all? This is Sam Thory. I'm doing a fresh video here on a newer topic that's been asked for a couple of times. In a few of my videos, I've set up projects before actually getting into the videos, and a couple of comments from folks have asked that I go through how I set up those projects. So I'm going to take you through that a little bit, and we're going to use some of the new ChatGPT features that have just become available. One in particular is projects, and this will work perfectly for what we want to do. So we'll start off in ChatGPT and then go over to Cursor to finish it off. We're not going to write any code. This is just going to be project planning and a little bit of project management to get started. Beyond that, we can build it out in the future, but that'll be another project. This is mostly just teaching how to use the tools to build the context you want for Cursor or Insert for Klein, whatever you're using. They're all going to work just about the same. So the premise of our project that we're going to be building out the context for is for one of my websites for a client called whiskerwellness.com. This is a cat sitting business, and right now it's fairly informational on this marketing site for them. We have a book consultation that opens up a Google Calendar. You have a blog. We have a contact form, and that's about it. And you have your socials, and there's a lot of information in here for SEO purposes. And I really like everything going on in this website that we built. I'm not trying to change that really. But as we're starting to get customers, we need to build out a dashboard for not only the business owner, but also for customers. So we want to be able to book appointments. Right now you can book a consultation, but we don't have an appointment scheduler in the website. We want to do payments, and there's probably a bunch of other things that we want to do as well. We also want to track analytics for the admin, for the company owner. But we'll have ChatGPT essentially help us scope out exactly what we want to do here. So I think we can get started. We have basically the information that we need to build this out. So the first thing we're going to go do here is create a new project. And I don't think Projects is available for the free plan on ChatGPT, but if you do have ChatGPT Plus or Pro or Enterprise, whatever those are, Teams, I think it is available. It just came out a couple of days ago. So essentially what Projects is creating a scope for whatever you're working on. So we have, well, first of all, let's just name it. So this is going to be our Whisker Wellness Dashboard. We'll create this project. So right now you see it comes up here on the left. We have Whisker Wellness Dashboard. We also have this one that I just started. I haven't added anything to it yet. And we can do a new chat in here. We have all of our same capabilities. We have O1, O1 Mini, the other models as well. Excuse me. I can attach files if I'm in 4.0. And I also have these features that they've now added as the view tools. So you have Canvas and Picture. And I would assume you'll be able to search the web here as well. I don't see that icon, so maybe this is still in a beta deal and they don't quite have that yet. The two things that I do want to pay attention to are these boxes, add files and add instructions. So for adding files, there's definitely some things that we could add from the business side of Whisker Wellness. We've created some documents in the past. In fact, if I go in here to open up the right one, let's see what we have in here. We have design guidelines, recommendations. These are all images of some sort. We have the website structure. I think this is her answers to a series. Okay, this is design guide recommendations. Great. So we can go ahead and add this, I think. And let's download this one. Let's look at the content docs. These are all good. Add these. And we could keep going, but I think this is enough initial context for it. It's probably too much for what we're trying to do. So we're going to go in here and add some files. And I should be able to just grab them and pull them over. Let's see how it goes. Very good. All right, now I'm going to add these files. Let's see how it's doing. I do see some errors here. But let's add them and see if we actually get any. So it looks like we need to do the questionnaire again. Let's try that. Maybe it just ran out of room. So I did get those. Maybe we're only limited to 9. Oh, no, I have here. In the website structure I have, about us, blog. Probably good for now. So all of that now is in our scope and our context for this project. It's great. So now we're going to go over to instructions. First off, let's try to define exactly what we're building here. We are building a dashboard for our customer Whisker Wellness. The website is Whisker Wellness, and you can scan the sitemap at whiskerwellness.com/sitemap.ml. So sitemaps are great in this way, where ChatGPT or whatever service that you're using can read a sitemap very easily and understand exactly what's going to be in a website based off of that. So I like to reference that when I can. We want to have an admin dashboard to manage customers, payments, and view analytics. So I'm thinking we'll have something like Google Analytics in there. She has an Instagram that we could hook up and connect the API. Let's see. I think there's Nextdoor, but I don't know what the API is for Nextdoor. Maybe we can find something. I don't know. But we'll build something out for her in that sense that she can view there. We also want a user portal where customers can make, edit, or delete appointments, make payments, etc. So we have a basic definition of what our project is at this point. Now, I want to make sure that we have correct documentation, right? So we're going to be using Payload for this. We're going to be using Next.js. We typically are going to be staying with the stack that we like, that we understand, that we can build quickly on. Payload, especially, will be great for this. But for now, as we're building out these docs, really we just need to have a reference to the documentation for Payload, probably Next.js. I don't know what else, but we'll start with that. So Payload, so we'll give it this one. We are going to be using the latest version of Payload and Next.js 14 and up, possibly actually, no, I'm sorry. It will be 15 because Payload 3's on 15. So let's go over to Next.js. We'll hit the docs, pull that in. So we can always add to this, but this is a basic instructions that instead of every time that we are prompting ChatGPT, we'd have to build this out, or like we'd have one chat that we just continue to add on to because it already understands the context that we built out. Now we have this context across multiple chats. We don't have to rewrite it every single time. It's kind of like Cursor in the same way, where you have Cursor rules and your overall rules that run before everything else runs, basically. So it's really good. Again, this is a starter, so we can just start with that. We'll hit save. All right, so we have our instructions. We have some project files. All right, so we want to start off by creating a overall premise for this dashboard and how it will all work. Very broad. Let's see what it comes up with. So far we have our introduction statement here. Basically the overall idea of what this dashboard will be. Core purpose: empowers Whisker Wellness to efficiently manage bookings, payments, customer data, and analytics, and then gives customers control over managing appointments, payments, and accessing personalized resources. So then it goes through defining the customer side, where we'll have account management, can create and manage their accounts, store pet details. That's really good. You'll be able to update their pet details. That's great. Quick drop-in, integrated calendar-based booking system to schedule services. Very easy Google Calendar integration there. Step-by-step booking. That's great. Register pet details, book 15-minute, follow up with meet and greet, schedule and pay. Great. Payment integration. So we'll be using Stripe. Transparent price. What's this? Oh, cool. transparent pricing details for all services, appointment management, and then summary of scheduled visits, invoice, payment history. This is perfect. We also have a resource center that we've already built out. They'll be able to access. The admin dashboard. Let's see, booking and appointment management, great. Customer database, excellent. Payment management, awesome. Analytics and reporting, good. Communication hub, resource management. Upload and manage, blah, that's great. So we are using, on the front end, I think, Sanity for Whisker Wellness because it's kind of before I got on board with Payload. I'm thinking that I may update it and move it over to Payload. We're already using Neon database for this one, actually built in to Vercel native integration for this one. So it would be not easy, but fairly easy to do. So I'm thinking about that. We also have a user flow. So customer registration, new users register and add their pet profiles, upload required documentation, booking process, admin monitoring, service execution, analytics and reporting. I think I already have an email integration on the front end. I don't know if I'll use loops. Maybe resend. I like resend. Also, this one's been really good. Brevo. Anyways, I don't want to get distracted, sorry. And then custom dashboards for tools like Google Acting. Visual and functional goals. Dashboard will prioritize usability with intuitive navigation. That's great. So let's build me a markdown document based off from this information. So we're just going to turn it into markdown essentially, and we're going to put this in Cursor. So this will be our first file, and we'll call this our project definition. Cool. So Canvas has had some updates where they can now run Python. Looks like it's handling markdown pretty good. So that's cool. Didn't used to be able to do that all the time. So that's good. And we're just going to let this build out. It's fantastic. We're going to hit the copy button here and just come over here. And we're in a new folder, new directory I set up, Whisker Wellness Dashboard. I'm going to add a new folder called Docs. And obviously there's nothing in this yet. We're not building out code. This is just documentation. So project definition.md. We can just go ahead and paste that in. Perfect. So we have our first piece of context for Cursor. So this is the number one piece. Project definition. It's like the global. So now we're going to break it down and start thinking about it like a project. We've defined what it does. Now we need to figure out how to build it, right? Perfect. Thank you. Now let's build out an outline for how we will, you know what, let's build out the overall architecture of the site, of the dashboard. So I don't want it to do this. All right, so let's start a new canvas and follow the prompt from above. Very nice. So one feature that had issues with Canvas, and now that it's out of beta, maybe they fixed this a little bit, is that you really couldn't have more than one canvas in the chat. So if you wanted to get rid of a new canvas or a new idea, you had to delete your old canvas and then you lose information. So I don't want to do that. Let's see here. So now we can have multiple canvases is all I was saying, sorry. All right, just going through this here, we have our two sides, the customer portal and the admin dashboard. And the front end, we have Next.js 15 with the app router, Tailwind, ChatCN, Magic UI. So this is pulling in context from older chats of mine as well. It would have no idea to use those if I haven't talked to it about it before. Supabase auth, so maybe not using that. We have all of our pages defined, pages for admin, backend, payload, great. So we have our third-party tools, Supabase, Stripe, payload, the Google Calendar API, loops.so, good. All right, that's fantastic. So we're gonna take that, we copied it, add a new file of docs, architecture.md. We paste that in, we have some more context. All right, now we're gonna start a new document here, start a new canvas, building out an outline for the project. All right, we have our goals and objectives. For the customer goals, provide a user-friendly portal, offer secure payment options, centralize pet information, deliver valuable resources. For the admin goals, streamline service scheduling, maintain a centralized customer database, manage payments, upload and manage blogs, generate analytics. Key features. Okay, that's fantastic. So this is repeating some information that we have in the other documents, but it's also going a little bit deeper on those. So every time we're just digging another layer into the onion here and adding more and more context and building out the project before we built it at all. It's good. This is breaking it down into phases with timelines. Wow, that's great. Should be done. Cool. So we'll copy this, pull it over, create a new doc called outline.md, and there we go. So now I want a new canvas with an overall guide to building this out. Don't be too specific. We will keep this broad. So at this point now we're getting into the different steps that we're going to take in the order in which we'll take them to build out the project. So we have our phase 1 planning and design, define the scope, which we're doing right now, create wireframes. Might not do that in this sense because it's more of a back and forth with the customer that's a little bit closer, so it's okay. A typical corporate setting, we would definitely do full software development lifecycle on this, where we go through project planning, approval processes, design, review, code, all of that, test. In this case, it'll be a little bit looser in that sense, but we'll still stay tight on our side with our planning. So, all right, so we have this broken down into 6 phases. So we'll take this document, we'll bring it over again, and from there, we will break it down into 6 different documents for each phase, where we'll go into more depth. So let's take this guide.md, paste it in, start a new canvas, and we're going to go into full detail for each phase. Each phase should have its own, be as detailed and complete as possible. So this is going into full depth here. We have our features being defined for both the customer portal and the admin dashboard. It's giving us directions on creating wireframes using Figma, definitely not using Adobe XD. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. I don't know Whimsical, could be cool. I've used Lucidchart in the past, so, or Figma for these things. You could definitely use Figma or FigJam. Key pages to design, homepage, booking page, dashboard, profile page, resource center, payment portal. And then the login page, booking management, customer management, payments overview, content management, and analytics dashboard for the admin. We're defining our design system with our colors, our typography, our different UI components that we'll be pulling in, I'm guessing from ChatCN here, and our user flows defined. So it looks like we're all set for the phase 1, and we'll hit copy, pull that in, push it here. Please continue. So it's going to be a little bit tedious as we go through each one of the different phases. I will likely just pause it and get to the end and then come back. All right, we're back. We've completed all 6 phases now. So if we just go through real quick here, we're defining the scope, creating wireframes, design system, define user flow. We go to phase 2, version control setup, backend initialization, environment configuration, CI/CD pipeline. Phase 3, API development, database schema, payload CMS configuration, Stripe payment integration, testing. Phase 4, authentication integration, Stripe payment integration, email notifications with loops, calendar synchronization. Phase 5, unit testing, integration testing, E2E testing, performance optimization, security testing, and then deployment. Deployment strategy, CI/CD pipeline, monitoring, and analytics. And we're done. And we can always add more features and stuff, but that's a basic setup there. From here, we're going to move over to Cursor. And we're going to take all of these docs. Let's see if I can pull them into Cursor. You used to be able to add these to Composer. You can't anymore automatically. So what we'll do is at architecture, at guide, outline, at phase, at phase, at phase. We're just going to stuff the scope here. Take all of these documents and create a PUML file that defines how the backend works together, how the project works overall. So again, this is going to be plant UML. So it's basically going to create a diagram based off of a code. So I forgot to put this into agent, but that's okay. It ended up doing what I needed it to do. And let's see what it came up with. We'll accept this. And what we can do is just copy everything here. There's probably a plugin, but I don't know what it is. plantuml.com. Go to the online server, take everything out, add this in. Ooh, it's hard to read, but it'll be easy for Cursor to read. So we have our backend services, Supabase auth, payload, Stripe, email, calendar. Our database, Supabase. We have connections with the Supabase auth, payload, Stripe into the database. The database connects with customer portal and admin dashboard, serves data, provides analytics. You have accesses for the customer portal, the booking management. This is defining what it does. Very cool. Defines the relationship here. So the customer portal uses the payment UI, accesses the resource center, uses authentication UI. Admin dashboard manages the resource center and uses as well the authentication UI. We have our external services in a little cloud here. That's very cute. Stripe, email provider, Google Calendar API, and these I'm sure are different collections. Very cool. So this is just another piece of documentation that Cursor now has, and if we look at it, this is all readable for Cursor. If you give it a diagram, it's not going to know what to do with that. But if you give it this, it can run through this, and it created this, so it can definitely read it. So let's create another PUML diagram defining the user flow for both customers and the admin. Let's go ahead and take this over as well and check what we have. Very cool. We have customer, admin, customer portal, admin dashboard, auth service, payment service, email service. So customer registration, register account, create account, store user data, goes into the database. That's great. So we can see the flow from customer into the customer portal where they register their account. The customer portal goes to the auth service to create the account, and then the auth service goes to the database. And then the database goes back to the customer portal to confirm registration, where a send welcome email is sent to the email service. And then that welcome email is sent to the user, the customer. So we can see that full customer registration workflow there defined. Our pet profile management, so we add a pet profile in the customer portal, so the customer would add that. Store the pet data in the database. Confirm pet added, that goes back to the user, and then show success message to the user. Service booking, select service, check available slots, return available times, choose time slot, process payment, store payment. So we have this full booking workflow here, user flow, that goes back and forth and interacts with almost every single one of our services. So it's fairly complicated, but this diagram is presenting it in a way that is easy to read. This one I think is much easier to read than the other one, as long as you understand we have these guys on the top, we have these different relationships, and the flow goes from top to bottom. So we have resource management, payment processing, view payments, fetch payment records. This is on the admin side, where you can generate and download a report. This is great. And again, this is something that we could add on to add more features, add more user flows. It's a dynamic, all of these documents are dynamic because Composer can go directly into them and edit them on its own. They are dynamic and they can be changed throughout the project, but it's a good starter and it gives us that great context. So we have these two UML diagrams. We have all of our other files. Last thing we're going to do in this video is define our cursor rules. And we did this in our other project where we gave it an agentic workflow, defined different roles that it will perform, such as an architect, developer, the reviewer, the QA tester, all these different things that it goes through, and different workflows for different actions that it could perform. So we want to do the same thing here, but we want to give it the correct context for this project. So given all of our files in the @docs, folders, docs folder, let's create a .cursor rules file that will be easy for you to understand and have all of the information you need for each prompt in this project. The cursor rule, this should define an agentic workflow with different roles and responsibilities and different flows for different actions. Write it in a way that is the most readable for you. I don't care how it looks. It needs to read it, right? We're all set here. Let's see what we have. We'll hit accept as just a starting point. We have our project, Whisker Wellness Dashboard, Next.js full stack application, 14 up, styles, Cyberpunk Netrunner personality. That's just something that I defined in the cursor rules. It does not need to have that in there, but that's fine. We have the architect, backend dev, DevOps, our workflows, code review, feature implementation, bug fixes, our project standards, architecture, code style, file structure, components, lib, responses. So this is giving all of our proper workflows here. We have our testing approach, our integration patterns. If we take a look at the other project that we have, that we built out, it's a lot more detailed and there's a lot more information. But for now, it's a good starter. We also, like the versions, we want to be a lot more specific on this. So it should actually be Next.js 15. It should be Payload 3 because that's hugely different from Payload 2. The docs are way different. And the roles and workflows are not quite as defined as I'd want them to be, but it's a good starting point. So I don't want to get into the weeds. It's a basic setup. Obviously, you're going to go back and forth with Cursor and ChatGPT quite a bit to refine this for your own projects, but this is the overall flow that I would take to create a new project. From here, a couple of things that I would do that I'm not going to do in this video, but just let you know. I would have Cursor with context of the most recent documentation, make sure that it does have the most recent documentation, go through each of the phases and the outline to make sure that everything is absolutely correct. So we don't want to just assume that ChatGPT did everything right. It most likely did not. And Cursor won't either. But if we have a second opinion, we can at least get a little bit closer to the truth. So that's to say, you took this and just said, in phase 1 through phase 6, and we know how it goes. It would not do it. It would try, and it would fail miserably. We're just not there yet. But we do have this really nice project set up here that we can build on. So I would refine all of those phases, make sure that all the code in them is going to work or be as close to possible as we can get. And then as we go through each one of the phases, I am going to change those, update those, and make sure that everything is still working with the diagrams and all of my docs are staying consistent. If I'm ever getting off track a little bit, because I've broken this into 6 different phases, we can stop, backtrack, and figure out what went wrong before moving forward. I'd also take these and just create checklists for each of them so that I can understand step by step what's actually going to be happening, what I need to do, and if I've missed any steps. So for each of the phases, I build out an individual checklist. And that's just something that you can ask Cursor to do for you. So it'll go through phase 1 and say, okay, I need to do this. And then you can tell it, do this, and just start from the top of the checklist and go through. Just depends on how you like to look at it. Checklists work really well for me. It just makes more sense. So that's pretty much it. We have a nice setup for our Whisker Wellness Dashboard that we can start building on from this point. We have everything we need and it's looking good. So I appreciate y'all following along here. Hope this was helpful to build out your next project using ChatGPT and Cursor or Windsurf or Claude Sonnet, whatever it is that you're using. They're all fairly similar, right? So you should be able to pull information from this and use the tools that you want. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate that. And have a good day.